As Kristen cradled our newborn, her face glowing with joy and exhaustion, I stood frozen. My mother and mother-in-law beamed beside her, but I felt nothing. I didn't move closer. I didn't reach out. The silence shattered when a nurse walked in. "Mr. Davis, I need you to fill out the birth certificate." I met her gaze, my voice firm. "We'll fill it out after the DNA test." The room shifted. Kristen's head snapped up, her arms tightening around the baby. "What?" she whispered, disbelief in her eyes. Dolores gasped, her hand flying to her chest. My mother stiffened. "Martin, how dare you?" Kristen's voice shook with rage. "Are you accusing me of cheating?" I exhaled, my tone cold. "I'm not accusing." "I know you did." Dolores stepped forward, trying to reason with me. "This is not the time for this. Your words could push her into postpartum depression. Think about the baby." My mother, however, was furious. "Shame on you, Martin. Accusing your wife at a moment like this? It's cruel." I let their words hang in the air before calmly reaching into my pocket. "Kristen," I said, my eyes locked onto hers. "Should I call your lover, Marshall Jones?" She flinched, as if struck. "What?" she gasped, horror flashing across her face. I pulled out a folded piece of paper. "Then why did you send him this?" Slowly, I read aloud, "My husband should never know about you and me. I don't want anything to do with you." Kristen's face drained of color. The silence was deafening until she let out a choked sob. "How did you get that?" I held up the paper. "He sent me a screenshot." Her entire body trembled. "He said no one would ever know." I leaned in, my voice like ice. "So, you did sleep with him?" "You got pregnant with his baby," she whimpered, shaking her head, but my mother interrupted. "Martin, stop! The child might still be yours." I turned to her, my tone unwavering. "I knew about her affair for 4 months. I waited for the baby to be born, for the test." Kristen gasped. "You knew?" I ignored her. "I wanted her to have a stress-free pregnancy, but now it's time for the truth. If the baby is mine, I'll be his father. If not, I'm out." Dolores sobbed, but I didn't stop. "As for Kristen, she will no longer be my wife." A thick silence filled the room. My mother's voice softened. "The baby is innocent, Martin. He needs a father. A single mother." I cut her off, my patience gone. "And do what, Mom? Sit through counseling? Let some therapist tell me how I failed as a husband while my wife became another man's side piece? Accept her? Raise his child?" My mother's lips parted, but no words came. I turned to Dolores. "After she's discharged, take her with you. Her things are already packed. She is not stepping into my house again." Kristen sobbed, but I refused to look at her. She didn't deserve my sympathy. I turned to my mother one last time. "You do whatever you want. But don't force me into something that reminds me of my wife's betrayal." With that, I walked out. The nurse, who had witnessed everything, met my gaze with a look of quiet understanding. That night, as I sat alone in my now empty house, my phone buzzed. It was my mother. I sighed. I already knew what this call was about. I hesitated before answering. Her voice was soft but firm. "Son, I don't condone what Kristen did, but she needs me and Dolores right now. I'm with her." I clenched my jaw. Expected, but still hard to hear. "I've treated her like a daughter all her life," Mom continued. "I can't switch that off. I don't know if the child is yours, but I pray he is. I pray you save this marriage." That was my limit. My grip tightened on the phone. "Mom, the marriage is over. Even if the child is mine, I'm done. Stop pushing." "Martin, if you keep pushing, consider your son dead to you. Do I make myself clear?" Silence. Then a sigh. I hear you. I hung up. 2 days later, my lawyer served Kristen divorce papers. I canceled her credit cards, drained our joint account, left her share. Investments were frozen. That afternoon, Mom called again, disappointment heavy in her voice. You shouldn't have done that. She's not fully recovered. I'm ashamed of you. I closed my eyes. Patience, razor thin. Heartless? Where was her heart when she cheated? Was she thinking about her marriage then? Silence. You know the answer, Mom. Stop blaming me. 3 days later, the DNA results arrived. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Not the father. No relief, just finality. Any doubt gone. I drove to Dolores's house. Kristen opened the door, eyes full of hope. I knew you'd come back to me, she whispered. I raised a hand, stopping her. Where's your mother? I'm here for her. Her smile faltered. Oh, come in. Mom was inside, cradling the baby. Her face lit up. Look at him. He has your eyes. Hold him once and you'll forget everything. I stepped back. Mom, stop. Confusion flickered across her face. I pulled the envelope from my pocket and handed it to Dolores. Read it aloud. She read, voice hollow. Chances of paternity, 0%. You are not the father. Silence. Mom paled, sinking into a chair. Oh, no. I let the truth settle. Now you have proof. This child is not mine, and I won't be part of his life. Kristen took that from you. Tears streaked Kristen's face. Mom stared at the baby, then at me. Finally, she whispered, Take me home. I turned to leave. She followed. The drive was silent. At home, she made coffee, just how I liked it. We sat in quiet companionship. Then she spoke, voice full of regret. I'm sorry, son. I was selfish. I wanted to believe, but I was wrong. Forgive me. I took a deep breath. I had no one, Mom. No one supported me. The weight of it all crushed me. My chest tightened, my breath hitched. Tears spilled. She reached out, warm and steady. You did good. You stood by your beliefs. I'm proud of you. For the first time in months, I felt seen. The divorce dragged on. Kristen fought it. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, frowned at me. Mr. Campbell, marriage is a commitment. A child, no matter how conceived, deserves stability. My lawyer, Ron, leaned forward. Your Honor, my client isn't running from responsibility. And with that, the battle truly began. He refuses to take responsibility for what isn't his. The DNA test confirms it. This child isn't his. And as for the marriage, my client didn't break the vows. Mrs. Campbell did. Her affair with co-worker, Marshall Jones, wasn't a mistake. It was a betrayal. Kristen sat still, expression carefully composed. When it was her turn to testify, she put on a show. I was lonely, she said, voice trembling. Martin was always away for work. I felt abandoned. Marshall listened to me, understood me. I never meant to hurt Martin. I clenched my jaw. The way she spun it, she was the victim now. Ron, my attorney, remained unfazed. Did you continue seeing Mr. Jones after learning you were pregnant? He asked. Kristen shook her head. No. I cut all contact. I wanted to fix my marriage. Ron pulled out a stack of papers. Exhibit C messages between Mrs. Campbell and Mr. Jones throughout her pregnancy. She confided in him, planned with him, doubted telling my client the truth. Kristen's face paled. That doesn't mean I slept with him again, she blurted. Perhaps not, Ron conceded, but it proves you maintained an emotional relationship. You claim you cut ties, yet the evidence says otherwise. Kristen's voice softened. I felt neglected. I didn't seek this out. Marshall pursued me. Ron's tone sharpened. Mrs. Campbell, you say your husband neglected you. Did you ever tell him? Ever say, Martin, I need more from you? Silence. Ron turned to the judge. Your Honor, here are posts from Mr. Campbell's social media, dinners, gifts, loving gestures. This doesn't look like a neglectful husband. Mrs. Campbell, was your infidelity your husband's fault? Yes or no? Her jaw clenched. She glanced at the judge, at Ron, at me. Then, in a small voice, no. Ron let the word hang. For 2 hours, you've blamed Martin for everything. Yet if he's such a failure, why do you want to reconcile? Why force him to be a father to a child that isn't his? Kristen stiffened. The courtroom was silent. Ron pressed on. Should a woman stay married to a man she calls a loser? Or should she be with Mr. Jones, the caring father? Kristen's fingers tightened on the table. Marshall is the father, she insisted. Ron raised a brow. You once told my client the same thing about him. And we know how that turned out. Kristen shot up, voice raw. He is the best husband ever. I love him. My child deserves no better father. Silence. Ron leaned in. Then why did you cheat? Kristen trembled. Through broken sobs, she whispered, I was just horny. A murmur rippled through the room. The judge's face flickered with disgust. That will be enough. Step down. 2 weeks later, I sat in the same courtroom. The judge looked at me. Mr. Campbell, do you want to reconcile with your wife? I met Kristen's red-rimmed eyes. There was nothing left. No, Your Honor, the gavel struck. The marriage is dissolved. Moving out was easier than I expected. I sold the house, took an apartment near work, and moved on. Or so I thought. Weeks later, my mother called. Martin, I'm helping Dolores with the baby. Kristen, she's not well. She's in therapy for depression. I sighed. Sympathy stirred, but not enough to erase the past. Okay? You're not upset? No, Mom. The baby's innocent. If Dolores needs help, I won't stop you. She hesitated. And Marshall? I exhaled. Mom, Kristen ruined our marriage, not him. She made that choice. I know, but doesn't it make you angry? Of course, I admitted. I had my moments, but I wouldn't throw my life away for him. So, you just let it go? Smirk tugged at my lips. Not exactly. I sent my divorce details to his company. They fired him. Mom chuckled. Better than breaking his nose. Much cleaner, I said. 3 years passed. I rebuilt myself. Dated, but never committed. Trust felt impossible. One evening, my phone rang. Dolores. Martin, she said firmly. Meet me at my house. We need to talk. I sighed. Dolores, It's not about Kristen. I hesitated. Then my mother's voice came through. Martin, come. I ran a hand through my hair. Whatever it wasn't over yet. If it were just Dolores, I would have ignored the request. But my mother's presence changed everything. All right, I muttered. I'll be there soon. I grabbed my keys, unease settling deep in my chest as I drove to Dolores's house. The journey was silent, but my mind churned. Why had she called me so urgently? And why did my mother sound so serious? When I arrived, my mother answered the door, giving me a long look before stepping aside. Inside, Dolores stood near the couch, offering a small nod. But before I could speak, a little boy ran up to me, stopping short. Who are you? He asked, tilting his head. I crouched, pointing at my mother. You see her? I'm her son. His face scrunched up as he processed. Oh, you're her son. Good to meet you. Then just as quickly he ran off. Dolores wasted no time, pulling me into a brief hug. Thanks for coming, she said, voice steady but heavy. Before I could respond, my mother handed me a glass. I looked, at the amber liquid, then back at her. You'll need it after this, she said. I didn't drink yet. Instead, I watched as Dolores sat down and gestured for me to do the same. She took a deep breath. Kristen is dead. The words landed like a slow-moving wrecking ball. I wasn't grieving. I just hadn't expected to hear them. What? I managed. Dolores didn't flinch. An alligator took her, last week, in Florida. I stared, waiting for more. Something about the way she said it felt wrong. Then she spoke over her shoulder. Tim, go to your room. The boy obeyed without question. Only when he was gone did she look back at me. I killed her, fed her to a gator. My grip on the glass tightened. My breath hitched. I knocked back the whiskey, but the burn did nothing to thaw the ice spreading through me. She was poisoning Tim against you, Dolores continued, too calm. I warned her. She didn't listen. She was going to ruin his life, all because she hated you. I swallowed hard. Dolores let out a humorless laugh. Can you believe it? You, the man she cheated on, the man she lied to. Somehow in her mind, you were the villain. I set the glass down, fingers twitching. So what did you do? Dolores tilted her head, considering. Then simply, I called your mother. We took a trip to Florida. Only 3 of us came back. My chest tightened. Cops found part of her. Just a hand. The gator hasn't been found. The room felt smaller. Before I could react, my mother spoke. Voice soft yet firm. Marshall Jones is dead too. Blood drained from my face. What? We needed to ensure no one took Tim from us, she said, as if this was just another family matter. So, he had to go. My stomach lurched. What are you saying? Car accident, off a bridge. Silence pressed down like a weight. My mother refilled my glass for the 3rd time. I sat there, gripping it, breath unsteady. Then she said it. That child needs a father. I looked up, pulse hammering. The way they spoke, so composed after confessing murder, was unnerving. And a mother, Dolores added. I exhaled shakily. My mother continued. We won't live long enough to raise him. We both have stage 4 blood cancer. My head snapped up. Please, Martin, my mother pleaded. If you decide against it, I'll understand. But you're his best and only chance. I stood up. Didn't say a word. Walked out. My mind reeled. My body felt heavy. I drove home and collapsed into bed. The next morning, I woke with a headache that wasn't from whiskey. I barely remembered the drive home. But one thing was clear. I couldn't let that kid grow up alone. I found myself outside Dolores's house, before I even realized I'd made the decision. Knocked. She opened the door. No surprise in her eyes, just quiet acceptance as she stepped aside. Tim looked up from his toys, eyes bright with recognition. You're Grandma Linda's son. I know you. I crouched. Yeah, and you know what else? He shook his head. You're my son now. He blinked, then nodded. Okay, that was it. That was the moment. A week later, the paperwork was finalized. Tim was legally mine. My mother, never one to waste time, arranged a date for me with a woman named Kelly, a former Marine. No kids, widowed. Just one date, she insisted. She's a good woman. I relented. One date became 2, then 4, then something real. 6 months later, we married. My mother beamed. Dolores, frail but smiling, watched like her plan had unfolded perfectly. But life doesn't grant happiness easily. My mother passed 2 months later. Dolores followed soon after. Then, before I could process it, Kelly told me she was pregnant. Life was moving fast, but for once in the right direction. One afternoon, while sorting through my mother's things, I found a small, worn diary. A picture slipped out. 2 familiar faces stared back, my mother and Dolores. Serious expressions. The back read, 1999, George Bush Center for Intelligence. My heart pounded. Damn! My mom was in the CIA. Dear listeners, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.